All week long you've waited, and now it's time for Kickoff. Fighting Chance Kickoff. Starts and sits, injuries, weather, and the latest news. No hot takes, no BS, just the information you need to crush your competition. It's Fighting Chance Kickoff with Kevin Tompkins and Gary Haddow.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into Fighting Chance Kickoff. I am Kevin Tompkins of FightingChanceFantasy.com, as always. Also of FightingChanceFantasy.com, the Scott Fish Bowl 9 winning and wearing friend this morning.
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited for this slate of games. There's some really exciting games today. It's been a crazy week, and I'm just excited to move beyond the news because there's just way too much of it in a bad sense. And just excited to go through all this. So hopefully we get lots of questions because if you're like us, we have thousands of questions of our own that we are trying to still figure out, it feels like.
Yeah, we are sifting through just a wacky amount of variables and questions and scenarios. And yeah, so let's hop right into it. Let's nosedive into this. So the first and foremost, just COVID is racked the NFL yet again. So let's go with some of the non-COVID stuff, and we will get into all that. Trust me, I promise. For the early slate, we are looking at Salvin Ahmed, who is out with a shoulder injury. So we, as far as a running back goes, Myles Gaskin was not taken off IR in time. So right now it's really Matt Breida. What else can we expect out of this Miami Dolphins backfield? Because they have such a great matchup, you got to figure there are going to be carries there. They usually go with a one back kind of scheme. So right now it's what do we do with Matt Breida right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can start Matt Breida in like a deep situation if you're desperate. There are so many injuries and COVID stuff and whatnot. If you need to pivot from say the Baltimore Ravens, the Baltimore Steelers game, then Breida's someone there, and I think he's worth of a sprinkling in DFS. He's $4,000, so he's definitely worth putting in there just to see what happens as that super cheap option.
Yeah, and there's other super cheap options too. There's also Patrick Laird, who gets some passing down work. DeAndre Washington, who is a big sleeper with the Chiefs. The Miami Dolphins actually traded for the deadline. He could certainly factor into. We really don't know. We've seen them go away from Matt Breida, certainly at the beginning of the year when Myles Gaskin was running pretty well. And we know how Brian Flores likes to give one back the majority of the work. So it really remains to be seen, but I would predict of these three backs, since Breida has been active and gotten acclimated, I think he gets a majority of the work today. But it's fantasy football. It's tough to prognosticate, but he would be the one I would go to today. On the early slate as well, another running back out, Todd Gurley for the Atlanta Falcons. This one's a little bit more clear for me. Brian Hill should definitely work his way into, I would say, RB2 upside. I think it's more of a flex today against the Raiders, but we've seen Hill show flashes of certainly more athleticism and more viability than Todd Gurley in some respects. There, we've seen Gurley get in the end zone quite a bit this year. That's propped up his value. So how do you feel about Brian Hill today?
Yeah, I do like him. I think last year was not a good showing for him when he was called upon to be the guy, but this year he's done well even when he's been splitting time. So I'm hoping that this is an okay matchup, that you can get stuff going, especially if Julio sits, Gurley's out, Hurst is banged up. I mean, there's just all sorts of stuff working in Brian Hill's favor.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just a couple quick hits, and then we got a couple questions in the chat that we will get to. Also, if you're watching this and you have fantasy football questions, make sure you send them on over to us here, to me at KTompkinsII, to Gary at GaryHaddow1. Type them in the chat. We'll answer them as quick as we can. We want to make sure you get all your questions asked during this big week of, certainly up to the fantasy playoffs, and with just COVID and other injuries just absolutely altering the landscape of fantasy football for week 12. A couple quick hits. Like I said, DJ Chark and Chris Conley for the Jacksonville Jaguars are both out. So right now, all that's left is pretty much Keelan Cole and Laviska Shenault in that wide receiver core. But I do like Keelan Cole today. It's probably more of a flex play, very, very low end wide receiver 3, but certainly definitely the more attractive option in the Jags passing game over Laviska Shenault for me.
Yeah, the one thing I do like about Visca is that they're going to get him, probably some designed carries, which Keelan Cole's not going to get. It probably is going to bump Keelan Cole off of return duties since he's going to be their wide receiver 1. But I mean, like, you can do worse. I think it's worth throwing in there as a dart throw.
Yeah, and certainly, if it was a regular, Gardner Minshew in there, I would have him a lot higher. But Jake Luton or Mike Glennon, will be in for the Jaguars. He's not relevant outside of just deep super flex leagues. He will be in for Jake Luton, so don't really hold the Jaguars passing game in too much of respect, but it should be some volume there for Keelan Cole to at least be moderately relevant in that offense. Yeah. And then speaking of another quarterback change, Joe Burrow, we saw his knee injury. He'll be back next season. So for this week and going forward, for now, it'll be Brandon Allen, who we saw with the Broncos last year. Again, same boat as Mike Glennon. He's not very relevant outside of deep super flex. And that's going to take every one of those Bengals pass catchers out of the equation. Maybe not out of the equation, but certainly you're downgrading them quite a bit. Tyler Boyd is still playable for me, but outside of him, I'm kind of staying away.
I completely agree.
Okay. And then one more bump for the note for the early slate. John Brown is out with an ankle injury. So I would bump up Gabriel Davis into flex consideration here. Also with the deep shots, Isaiah McKenzie is certainly worthy of a deep play. But other than that, you're going to start Diggs. You're going to start Cole Beasley. Not really starting much on the tight end landscape there. But John Brown, a big loss for Buffalo today against the Chargers.
Completely. I'm excited to see maybe this will give Zach Moss a little bit of a bump. They're coming out of a bye week, and it's always interesting to see what they do. And are they going to give Zach Moss the 60% rather than the near 49-51 split that they've had with Singletary? So excited to see that. Yep.
And then let's get into some questions here because we're starting to pile up a little bit here. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. I want to say Duklach. I apologize, but Mike Evans or Tyler Boyd, full point PPR.
Mike Evans, I think Evans is a smash play this week. There's no reason to doubt him, and he's going into a shootout, and I actually think Brady is going to be sneaky good and just kind of try and right the ship this week.
Yeah, I think Brady's a really nice volume play this week, but I do like Mike Evans. I would certainly take that big playability over Tyler Boyd, who I think should be fine. I don't think you're going to get those normal 8 for 80 games out of Tyler Boyd with Brandon Allen there, but I would go with Mike Evans here, certainly. Our good friend Fredstone Flint, most of the time with us. Appreciate you, my friend. PPR flex, Nyheim Hines or Chase Claypool.
I'm going to go with Hines. I tried to type a comment, but it kicked it back to me. So I'm not trusting anything from Baltimore Pitt. The NFL is nuts if they play that game. And on top of that, we like Hines, and Claypool has a tough matchup. So everything to me just says go Hines and don't risk it.
Yep. And we will definitely get into, the Steelers and Ravens situation there, in a little bit here. So I would take Hines over Claypool. I think it's just kind of booing your situation and just making sure kind of steering clear of that because it's such a volatile situation. We don't know what's going to happen if they even play that game, which we've talked about all this stuff and they have played these games, but there's just so much going on that I don't want to get into that hornet's nest. So I would certainly take Nyheim Hines here. Another one here, Gus Edwards or Chase Edmonds, and I'd probably take Edmonds here for that same kind of reasoning.
Yeah, and I'm actually just going to jump ahead and even say you have another question here, Shepard or Claypool, and I'm going to do the exact same answer. Just fade that game because you have Hines, Edmonds, and Shepard, who in their own right have a good matchups to okay matchups, and it's not as if they're scrubs, right? And so yeah. I'm always just going to pass on that game. If we're wrong, that's fine, but again, the NFL is nuts to play this game. They still just have active cases coming in.
Yeah, I'm happy being wrong, knowing that, with what we know, because let's face it, from the top to the bottom in fantasy football, we're all at the whim of the NFL right now. We just don't know it's that fluid of a situation. So I am more than happy getting my points and knowing that I know Sterling Shepard is going to play versus Chase Claypool, who, it could happen Tuesday, could get bumped to week 18. Who knows what's going to happen, but that's not going to help you this week when you need your points to get into the fantasy playoffs or at least improve your standing. And then let's take a look here. Good friend Axel Jansen, always with us. Appreciate you, my friend. Chris Carson or Nyheim Hines in standard?
Oh, this one is tough for me because Carson's going up against that defense, but I want to just go Hines. I don't trust it as much as I should. I have this exact same decision, just so you know, but it is standard, so that makes me lean Carson.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Carson as well. He should be back and should be getting a hefty workload there. So, if it was PPR, that'd certainly be more of a decision for me. But ultimately, I think I would still go Carson there too. So,
Hyde is still playing, right? It's not as and Carson's coming in. I think it was a foot, if I remember correctly. I'm worried that they are going to not need him, and so they might be able to rest him a little bit, especially if Jalen Hurts ends up getting a lot of run in this game.
Yeah, I think they just there is always the chance that they just work him in, but from Pete Carroll is typically pretty cautious with stuff like that, but I think with Chris Carson, I think they're going to work him in a little bit more. I think Hyde still gets involved. Don't get me wrong. Homer's not out. No, Homer's not playing. Don't see DJ Dallas having any kind of a workload. I mean, Alex Collins, who knows? But I think it's going to be Carson and Hyde. I would say probably a 65-35 between those two. I think that's fair to say. Fred Stone Flynn again, Taysom Hill or Matt Ryan. Ryan kind of sucks when Julio doesn't play, right?
Yeah, I think I like Hill in this game. I just like the fact that even if their defense does what we think it's going to do, Hill is just one of the three running backs in that sense. And I think that they're also just trying to establish that if this is too narrative-y, but if Hill can take it off and start showing some more of his passing and more of just this breadth of work, they're going to be scary good when Breeze comes back and they start putting Hill on the field, and they can mix and match even more what they're going to do rather than just the 7-yard runs like they've always done with him.
Right. And what's funny? I think even if Julio did play, I think it'd still take Taysom Hill here.
Yeah.
Konami code. You gotta roll with it. I mean, what we saw in the first start, I would totally go Taysom Hill there against Denver, who they have their own quarterback issues, and we'll hit that too. All right, Axel Jansen again. Pick one for wide receiver 2, Devontae Parker, Allen Robinson, Justin Jefferson, or Tyler Boyd.
Pick one? Oh, my God. Fitz is playing. I'm probably going to go with Parker, but it's a toss-up between Parker and Justin Jefferson for me.
I would go with Jefferson here, and just because of that condensed target tree there in Minnesota, because they're not going to have Irv Smith. They're not going to likely not to have Adam Thielen. We haven't gotten word on that yet, but I think he had to clear a COVID test this morning, and I had not seen anything about that. So I would go Justin Jefferson here. I think he's just going to monopolize that target share there.
Sense. Yep. Can I ask you a question real quick, because this just came in? Hines, Drake, Harris, pick 2. Hines, Drake, Harris, 0.5 PPR.
Hines and Drake.
Yep, I'm sitting Harris. Kevin agrees. All right, let's do it.
I mean, I like Harris. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a pretty good matchup.
We're in the same boat.
Yeah. And I actually had that decision in pros with Joe's too, because we both have Harris and Drake. Drake is obviously we draft in the first round, and he's been a guy that we've sat for a considerable amount of time. So
I don't think it's a good matchup. Isaiah Simmons is back. I think that they're going to smash the Patriots.
It's not ideal. Yeah. I'll say that. Taysom Hill or Derek, send in the car.
Going with Derek Carr, probably the most underrated quarterback in fantasy football right now. In football right now, not just fantasy. He's playing really well.
This is one of those matchups that shouldn't be as even as it is between Hill and Carr, but obviously 2020 being 2020, it is. Derek Carr was my start of the week this week. I'm still holding strong on that. I would put Derek Carr in over Taysom Hill. What the hell is happening?
Yeah, 2020, right?
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, so we'll get to a few more questions, and then we're going to get back into summer inactives and get into that discussion here. PPR, Jonnu or Kyle Rudolph? My answer is clear, but what do you think, Gary?
We're going to agree here, and I think it's a lot of people would think that we're nuts, and I think we're both going to say Rudolph.
Yeah, Kyle Rudolph. Yeah, he's gonna guide your slate today.
He's the number 2 pass catcher, and I just obviously Cook is there, but I have racked my brain looking for targets, looking for distribution to see who the wide receiver 2 is going to be. There's only one answer. It's Rudolph.
Yeah, and look back to last year when the Vikings didn't have Adam Thielen for a big stretch there in the middle of the season. Kyle Rudolph in that stretch, I believe that was week 7 through 14, was tight end 5. He had, I think, 5 out of this. I think 6 out of the 8 games in that stretch, he had double-digit PPR points. So that's a guy that you can look to. Granted, it's a different kind of offense, but I'm going to run a little bit more, but I think Kyle Rudolph is going to be the 2 behind Justin Jefferson. I think he's going to get most of those targets and most of that run. Dalvin Cook, you'll see sprinkled in there, but I think it's by and large going to be Jefferson and Rudolph.
I'm so confident in Rudolph this week that I put him as the cheapest flex option I could find in some DFS lineups because he's $2,800.
He is
2 tight end. I went Kelsey and Rudolph.
I will ask you. I haven't looked since everything happened yesterday, but there might be a cheaper option there. We'll get into that here and discuss that. PPR, Damian Harris or James White?
People are leaning White, and I'm going to go with White. Harris is just going to – I think Sony is going to take touches away from Harris, and White, his role is not going to be touched. My concern is just what's the touchdown upside for this team right now? People starting Cam, no thanks. I'm staying away from it, but I'm contrarian there.
Yeah, give me White there. I still do, like I said, I still do like Harris, but this is the Patriots. Who knows what could happen with Sony Michel too working his way in. That's just the gigantic. That's the elephant in the room right now is Sony Michel. Now we know Burkhead's not going to factor in; he's out for the season. So now it's time for a new Patriots running back to muddy everything up. So
JTT or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Bo, I agree. Fade it all. Absolutely, 100%. And then one more before we get into the some more of the inactives and questionable tags. Tyler Higbee, Richard Rodgers, or Anthony Firkser for tight end 2 at PPR.
Whew.
This is easy for me.
It's not easy for me because Higbee's banged up. And so and Jonnu's starting. So I don't know. You answer then.
Even with Jonnu starting, Firkser has had over a 50% target share since week 6. So I'm going to go with Anthony Firkser there.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I think he's still. Yeah, I trust me. Bo says Tyler Higbee, but I hate it. I hate it too. but
make sure Tyler Higbee's even playing. I don't.
Yeah,
know
he's questionable. He's questionable.
He's a game time decision right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. So let's dig back into some of the, the players inactive. We will go over to San Francisco where Tevin Coleman is out with a knee. Brandon Ayuk is going to be out with COVID, or at least the COVID designation. So, but good thing for San Francisco, they do get Raheem Mostert back today. So definitely a big feather in their cap. Jeremy McKinnon should still work in. For the passing game with Brandon Ayuk out, we're looking at Debo. We're looking at Richie Samuel. We're starting to get those pieces back, even though Coleman and Ayuk are out. 2 out, 2 in. I mean, how are we looking with San Francisco here?
I agree with everything you said. I'm still not super high on the offense, but I think Debo and Mostert are worthy of being put in. And Jordan Reed, I'm definitely okay with starting him if you're in a pinch at tight end or you're in one of those deeper leagues. So I'm just trying to see what Bo is referencing with his illness. I see. Misses practice with illness. Yeah, still going to go with it. I mean, they're football players, man. They just inject them with a ton of saline and they're good to go.
Yeah, it's not like this isn't the Jordan Reed Washington hangnail. No. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Certainly. That's definitely he's on the injury report for week 12 too. So yeah, something to monitor as well for the afternoon slate. And then one of the biggest injury situations that we saw kind of break yesterday with Denver and their quarterback situation. Excuse me. So all 4 Broncos quarterbacks out for COVID and close contacts. So what are the Broncos to do? Is John Elway going to get back out there and relive 1998? Probably not. I mean, he's 60 years old at this point. So it looks like from all reports, some reports early had Royce Freeman being the emergency quarterback. I was guilty of going out and picking him up in a couple leagues. And then maybe an hour later, Kendall Hinton from Wake Forest, who's been on the practice squad as a wide receiver, will likely work in at quarterback today. So check your leagues on ESPN. He's a non-play because he was just added to the player pool. Once he's added to the player pool, he goes on immediate waivers. So he will not be available on ESPN to play, but on Sleeper, he is available at wide receiver and can be added. I'm not sure if my fantasy league, I'm not sure if Scott has added Hinton into the player pool. I would guess probably he has, but he's available at wide receiver on Sleeper. And this is where it gets interesting because you're looking at, maybe not the full quarterback upside at wide receiver spot, but certainly a way higher floor, and he's worth being a wide receiver 3 for me on Sleeper.
Nope.
No
interest in it. Saints are right now playing as the best defense in the NFL, so they're gonna just get destroyed. It's gonna be give Lindsey the ball 60% of the time, give Melvin 30% of the time. That's how I hope it is, at least. And I don't know. Like, I even was like, oh, well, if Judy's out, what about like Deshaun Hamilton as a deep sleeper, as KJ Hamler, Tim Patton? No, like, they don't have a quarterback. Nobody knows the offense. And all I can tell you is that Saints team is ready to come and just crush them.
And I will say, the Broncos passing game options are just severely downgraded. It's where you can't even start them. But, I'm slightly intrigued by the positional, all that stuff there. So if I can, I'm able to put Kendall Hinton in as maybe just a low end wide receiver or like one of my flex players. But,
let me phrase it this way.
Okay.
It is week 12. If you are playing for a win and you have to have it, are you going to trust some scrub guy that just had to get added to the fantasy football universe? Or are you just going to say, I'll take my lumps and try and go elsewhere? If you are in a deep, deep hole and you're like, I need to get 30 from my wide receiver 3, I just don't see a path where it ever works out. And if you're already out of playoffs, then hell yeah, do it and try and ruin someone else's glory. But
I will say this in one league that I am now down Myles Gaskin, Salvin Ahmed, Kalen Ballage. I have Juju Smith-Schuster, who we don't know what's going to happen there. I lost Mark Andrews. I lost another guy too, but that my bench is right now just Marquez Valdez-Scantling and just garbage.
Boy, I would start over.
You would start MVS over him?
Hell yeah. I don't understand why you keep shitting on MVS. He keeps getting deep targets. He just happened to not pull his in last week.
Okay, this I like. I do like starting Andy Robinson over him. And I'm sorry, Yahoo is available as well. So that's also another
break in case of emergency. If you feel like you actually need to do it, that you're in a spot where you need to do it. Like Kevin just said, half of his team isn't playing. So
yeah, and that's a good way to put it too. It's a break glass in case of emergency. And I would say that in this case, it's definitely an emergency. So yeah, other than that, Let's go over to the Baltimore Ravens COVID situation here, or just that whole game. Because for the Steelers, we know James Conner is going to be out regardless if they play that game or not. So that's somebody you can definitely take out of your lineups. You would put in Benny Snell in that instance with some Anthony McFarland. Likely to work into. Don't really like the matchup there, obviously, against Baltimore, but a starting running back is a starting running back, and they can always fall in the end zone. And then the other guys, for Pittsburgh, I would certainly be on a holding pattern with, not actively looking to start them. If you can, I would say just be on a holding pattern with them. And then over on the Ravens side, Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, or those are the big names that you're looking. And then obviously Mark Andrews is out, with being on that COVID list. So it's very tough there for Baltimore and Pittsburgh. So this is a lot of the reason why anybody can go on there at any second. It's that fluid, and I have no idea how they play this game, but it looks like they're going to just trudge forward and try to play it.
If they do play, then this is not for fantasy this week, because I will tell everybody to sit them. If they do play, really for the Tuesday night DFS lineup, it'll be for me, Gus Edwards and Willie Snead, and that's it on the Ravens side.
That might be who they have left. You might have to throw in some Devin Duvernay in there too. Why the hell not? So anything else you want to add about Ravens Steelers?
No, start them at your own risk. That's the one time I will not take any blame for telling somebody to sit them and they go off. Like, sorry, that it's just how it should be right now. This is way worse than Titans Bills at this point.
Yeah, I gotta agree there. We did have a question in the chat, and I did.
We did. It's would you guys rather start Eckler or Shepard? PPR.
Yep, there it is. I'd probably I'd start Eckler today. He should be back and should be not a full compliment, but I think he should be certainly worthy of running back 2 numbers today, certainly out of the PPR. It's a good matchup against the Bills. It should be up and down too. And I will say one thing, there is one weather concern in that game, particularly with just a little bit of sustained wind. It shouldn't affect too much. From what I've seen from weather forecasts, there should be 30-mile-an-hour gusts, but I don't think it might affect a deep ball here and there, but it's not going to be like it was in Cleveland week 8 and week 11. So,
and Balaj, I don't think Balaj is going to play. I think it's pretty much said that he's going to be out. That's the only reason I would consider starting Eckler here. You never start running backs coming off of a hamstring like this. Eckler said he couldn't walk forwards. Like, he could only walk backwards because his hamstring was that bad. And granted, it's been 7 weeks, but I don't know. I'm just so nervous about that. It's not as if they are playing for playoffs or something. So I don't really know what they're doing here. Eckler, but only by a hair. I trust Shepard if I need more of a floor, and I'll take Eckler just for a little bit higher. But Shepard's been playing really freaking well, and I think that they're just going to go up to Cincinnati and destroy him.
You know what the crazy thing about Austin Eckler is? Usually it's, teams and, agents and all that controlling the narrative. Austin Eckler went on Fantasy Football Today on Yahoo for his own injury reports and his own updates, which is pretty unprecedented in this day and age. So that's something we could maybe see more of as athletes are more forthright and forthcoming with their situations and trying to control that narrative, because let's face it, with just the landscape as wide and as far reaching as it is, you get different reports from different areas and you don't really know who to trust. But, we're certainly going to pull out the best possible information we can. And we know Eckler is, wanting to go out there. We've seen those videos, and, that hamstring stuff, it's tough, but it's been all these weeks, and, Eckler is certainly chomping at the bit. So I'm fine buying Eckler today. We've sat on him for quite a bit, and I think they could certainly use him today. Let's get into some more of these questions here. Got some more from one from Ross Geyer here. Thank you, sir. Russell Gage would know Julio or Fulgham half PPR.
So Julio officially was just ruled out, literally as you were reading the question. I want to say Fulgham. I really, really do, but I just can't trust it. And I'm gonna go with Gage. I don't like it, but you got to go with Gage. Fulham is just a nothing.
Yeah, I don't like it either. It's kind of gross, not gonna lie. Fulgham, I believe, has 12 targets and 2 catches the last 2 weeks. With being tied to Wentz, I think that's more of a Wentz issue than a Fulgham issue. But it's just so gross. I mean, Fulgham's kind of losing steam here in this offense. I'm gonna go Russell Gage here. Let's go over to Axel, Austin Hooper, or Johnny Smith in standard.
I like Hooper. I don't think anybody would be shocked if Baker goes off and if the Browns score like 6 or 7 touchdowns this game with Chubb and Hunt getting a couple and then Baker throwing for like 3 or 4 type thing. Like this is just going to be a get right game for them. And I think that Hooper is going to be a big part of that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like Austin Hooper here. I just think that Cleveland's going to be in a get right spot with their passing offense, being in Jacksonville. So I do like that here. With the weather issues that they've had, I think just people are just so down on that. I think they're going to come out passing a little bit more. So I do like Austin Hooper. He's going to be a big part of that. I think he's going to be the 2A to Jarvis Landry there. Outside of the run, they're going to be running pretty heavy today. Yeah. Big Ben or Rivers, standard leaning Rivers, but Tuesday's game is still on right now.
I would actually start Rivers regardless right now. So
yeah, I think that's a pretty much auto.
Like even if it hadn't been a Tuesday game, I think Rivers is going to have with Jonathan Taylor out against the Titans defense, which is just so incredibly beatable. I mean, Rivers looked awesome. I mean, that the team looked awesome coming back against the Packers. So I'm all aboard putting Rivers in this week.
Yep, agreed. And I have a couple notes here. Like you said, Julio Jones is out. Adam Thielen is out. Gio Bernard is active. Austin Eckler is active. And Kalen Ballage is out as well. Hayden Hurst, who is questionable as well, is active. And then also for that Bills-Chargers game, Casey Hayward is out. So that's going to be all systems go for the Bills pass catchers there.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's get some more of these questions. Tessa, Superflex pick 2, Jared Goff, Cam Newton, Daniel Jones.
I'm sitting Cam. I have no interest in him. I think Jared Goff has a chance to be one of the top quarterbacks this week. Niners defense, they play tough, especially in a division game. But dude, the Rams are on a tear right now, and they're looking really good. And then Daniel Jones gets Cincinnati. I think Daniel Jones is just going to be one of those smash plays where he'll get some yardage on the ground. Who knows if he's going to run in a touchdown maybe, and then he'll get a couple through the air. Yeah,
either one of us could throw up 280 and at least 2 touchdowns against Cincy, right? I'd hope. Yeah, I like Daniel Jones. It just, we just worry about the turnovers because we know he has a propensity for throwing and dropping the ball, literally. So, yeah. And we got a bunch from Axel here. Jamison Crowder, Jarvis Landry, and Michael Pittman for wide receiver 3 in PPR.
Kevin and I will agree on this one, I think.
Will we?
Will we? I'm going Pittman. I don't care what people say about Crowder. I'm not putting I like the upside of Pittman. And Landry, he's got to show it to me before I'm putting him back in my lineup.
I will say this in defense of Jamison Crowder. We know Sam Darnold has a soft spot for him. We know Flacco has that deep ball, but now we don't know how that's going to go with Sam Darnold, with Crowder, with Mims and with Perryman. So that's why I think Darnold is going to look more toward the shorter passing game and Jamison Crowder. We've seen him, those random 10 catch games that Crowder's had, especially in PPR. I would probably take him. I think he just has a way higher floor, and I think he has a comparable ceiling to Pittman.
Okay. I will change my answer. You convinced me.
You don't have to change anything. I mean,
I'm changing my answer because Pittman's boom or bust, and Crowder is just. I keep forgetting that Darnold's going to be playing, so I'm actually changing my answer.
That's also too. I mean, we got to hope his shoulder is right too. I mean, not like really Adam Gase cares, I guess. I mean, why would you? You're 0 for the century right now. So
yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. David Montgomery, Gio Bernard, or Benny Snell for RB3 and standard.
David Montgomery, not close for me.
Yeah. David absolutely. Unabashed Packer fan here, but Green Bay can't stop anybody. So especially on the ground.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson or Cooper Kupp for wide receiver 3 in standard. It's easier for me than this question would allow.
I'm going to go with Kupp, but I like them both. It's just hard to sit Allen Robinson ever, but I mean, I guess Kupp he's not in the same boat, but Kupp has a higher ceiling, so I'm going to go with Kupp.
Yeah, I like Kupp here too. Allen Robinson, I mean, he's matchup independent, quarterback independent, but I do like Cooper Kupp's matchup in the slot too. So I would go with Cooper Kupp, especially how that, that offense is firing out for the Rams too. And they seem to be on that kind of a revenge tourish mode.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert or Gus Edwards have PPR. I'd rather leave an empty flex spot.
Why? Mostert's going to crush.
Yeah,
I have no concerns about putting him in. They wouldn't put him in if he's not ready. I don't know what they're going to do with him next year, but they are going to ride him. And every game he has played so far, he has been awesome.
Yeah, I like Mostert here. I think don't even touch Edwards today. It's tough, but not touching that here. But Gary, I got
update. Adam Thielen.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Adam Thielen is out. So here's the officials. So Julio's out. Hurst is active. Bernard's active. Rivers active. Pascal's active. Minshew's out. Eckler's active. Balaj is out. Jalen Richard is out. A little bit of Devontae Booker bump.
Yeah.
Tua is out. Hakeem Grant is active, who I really like in this game because I don't really know who their slot is outside of Gesicki. And then Thielen's out and N'Keal Harry is active. So
and then keep him. And also Ryan Fitzpatrick. If you really need a quarterback, say you have Ben Roethlisberger or Lamar Jackson. If you need a quarterback, I mean, you could probably pick up Ryan Fitzpatrick right now. It'd probably get you, that 280 and 2 with maybe an interception thrown in there. But that's a good matchup. I think you can at least just manufacture cheap points out of from waivers with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So if he's out there, definitely go pick him up. I think he's worth it if you need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yep. Just seeing all these everything roll in here. Nothing else really surprises me. So let's go over to. I've got some questions for you if you're ready. Actually, let's go to the chat. One more question from Ross Geyer again. Mostert crush day over Drake, Hines, or Harris have PPR.
I'm going to go with Drake. I really like Drake a lot. I think that he has come back and they've shown that they want to use him. And in this game, they will be running quite a bit, whether it's with Murray or with him. But Murray's shoulder makes me think that they're going to be handing off a little bit more than usual, not to fade Kyler at all. But I really like Drake. If you need the upside play, then go with Mostert because we've seen the 80-yard touchdowns, but those tend to be against shitty offenses, not against the Rams, or shitty defenses, but not against the Rams, who actually, they're just a good all-around team as much as I hate it.
Yeah, I go with Drake too. They have showed a renewed interest in getting him the ball, especially with goal line stuff and just getting him worked in. And Chase Edmonds is still going to be around. He's still going to get 8 to 10 touches, but that's mostly going to be in the passing game, and then he's just going to work in as a spell. Excuse me, for Kenny Drake. So I do like Kenny Drake here. Over Hines, over Harris, over Mostert. I don't think it's a crush day for Mostert. I think Mostert's he'll be fine. I think he's going to be middle of the road RB2, possibly as low as a running back 3, but I think Drake, over these options certainly. And then the deep option of the week from Axel Jansen, Chad Beebe, Colin Johnson, or Isaiah McKenzie for 4. And this is no decision for me. It's Isaiah McKenzie all day.
I actually looked at these guys just because trying to find floor plays, just bottom of the barrel stuff for DFS. And McKenzie, I just don't like. I'm going to go with him just because I trust that offense more. Chad Beebe hasn't done anything with like the 2 targets he's been getting. Colin Johnson is an interesting one just because I always wonder.
9 feet tall.
Yeah, and like when you have backup quarterbacks, but I don't really know where Glennon was prior to this week. Was he practice squad or was he just their QB3? But I don't know. I always think about who gets to practice with who, and is Colin Johnson actually getting to practice maybe and have a little bit of a rapport that we're automatically attributing to Keenan. But anyway, that's a long way of saying Isaiah McKenzie.
That was a lot of words. Yeah, that was a lot of words. But yeah, there's upside. I mean, there's an amount of upside with all three of these guys. I mean, BB certainly with a reduced target tree in Minnesota. You got to figure, is it going to be BC Johnson or is it going to be Chad BB that's getting more work in that Minnesota offense? And I would probably lean to BB there. Colin Johnson is just from Texas, just an absolute skyscraper of a wide receiver. But say what you want. I mean, he pretty much is, though. He's like
no. I love it. I think it's a fantastic term.
He is the who is that guy for the Ravens? Clarence, is it Clarence Brown or he was like 6'7" or something like that a decade ago. God, I'm reaching back into like my Madden days. And then Isaiah McKenzie. God,
I was just gonna say heights of these players are so weird because I'm 6'5", and so to me it's just like I can't imagine why that would be such a big advantage. Not that I play sports professionally, but being those 2 extra inches. But then you see these guys on the field and it like makes a difference because their arms are like incredibly long.
Dude, I'm throwing it up. If we're playing like a turkey bowl, you are the number 1 target every single time. I'm just throwing it up and you're going to Adam Thielen those one-handed catches all day.
I'm terrible at any sport that is not on rollerblades with a hockey stick.
I will get you in front of the jug. I'm getting you a jugs machine for Christmas. We're going to go play next year. Our kicker question of the week too, Zane Gonzalez. Yes. Gary looks forward to these, and I do too. Kickers are fantastic. If you don't play with kickers, I'm sorry, I'm contractually obligated to say that because of Linda. So Zane Gonzalez, Graham Gano, or Matt Gay for kicker 2.
Gano, probably.
Really? I think is Gano. I think he was on the injured list too. Or I think he was on the injury report. I think he had was on there for COVID. I believe, if I have that right.
So they just said they activated Graham Gano. The only reason I'm saying him is that, like, I like teams that have good offenses but not great offenses going against crappy defenses because they're good enough to get to where they need to and crappy enough to stall.
That was the Justin Tucker narrative for like the first 6 years of his career.
Until we realized he's like a god.
Yeah, but it just happened to be that he was an absolute, he was a god basically, and then just happened to thrive on that. But I think I would go. Matt Gay's on the Rams now, I believe. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I might go with Matt Gay, honestly. Over these, I like Zane Gonzalez. He's my kicker in a couple leagues. I just don't know of the upside that he has, and I believe is it indoors too? That's in Arizona, I believe.
Zane Gonzalez? No, it's at New England.
It's at New England.
Yeah.
Okay, then Matt Gay for me. But all right, I got a couple more. I got some questions here. If you want to start going rapid fire, and if you do, stop my ass and we'll get into them. But here's one. Pick 3. Brian Hill, Raheem Mostert, Wayne Gallman, Melvin Gordon, Gio Bernard, Jacoby Myers. If you need them all.
It's Gallman and Mostert, and then who are the other ones?
I'm going to put it up right now. Give me a second. Because, I know that's a mouthful.
Hill, Mostert, Gallman.
That's your okay. That was quick. Hill.
Well, I knew. I thought it. I know. I like the 2, and as much as Jacoby Myers has done well in that slate in that time period, I think it matches on to N'Keal Harry not being there. And not to say that N'Keal Harry is amazing, but just target distribution. And then we saw. I mean, Demir Birdo's one game, whatever. But now we have James White that's going to be in there, going to be a little bit more involved in the passing game. I think that Myers has too much of a floor for me.
I hear you. I would go. Yeah, I'd probably go those top 3 as well. I think that's pretty set and forget there. And then let's see here. So on the kind of the same token, Brian Hill or Damian Harris.
Oh, I'm going to go with Hill just because you're getting guaranteed touches. But I mean, yeah, and I think because he can catch, so at least you'll get some receptions, whereas Harris probably won't get many of those. Harris looks good when he runs, man. It just sucks that he's on the Patriots.
Yeah, if he was on any other team, I think we'd be liking him more. But, he's always just stuck in that Patriots narrative for the time being. So it's tough. But, yeah, it is what it is. Matt Ryan or Jared Goff?
Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff's going to be in a good game. I've seen a lot of people say that they think Matt Ryan is going to have an explosive game or whatnot. But I don't know how it happens. Raiders is going to always this whole season going to be that underrated team that people always are going to bet against, and yet what are they, 6-4, 7-3? Like, they're a good team.
Yeah, can't fault that. Trubisky, Darnold, or Glennon for QB2.
Axel, I love you just for this question, and you have this decision. I think Kevin and I are going to agree here. Trubisky, like, dude, he's, if nothing less, he will run against the Packers.
Oh man, this hurts my stomach. Yeah, give me Trubisky. I don't feel great about
Glennon. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's not Glennon. Yeah, I'd rather start at Gary over Glennon. Just putting that out there, but yeah, I'd probably go with Trubisky here, and he's not. So weeks 1 through 3, I think I ranked Trubisky close to being a QB1 in most of those weeks. Outside of the industry, who is pretty much just putting him at the bottom of lists. He is not that right now. But I say he presents much more upside than Nick Foles, but that's a low bar because you're not saying much about Nick Foles at this point. Yeah, go Trubisky. We've talked enough about these three guys. Corey Davis, Tyler Boyd, Cole Beasley for PPR.
I want you to answer because I'm pulling up something real quick.
Geez, I guess I hate the quarterback situation, but I'm still gonna go Tyler Boyd here. I mean, Tannehill has not been great lately. Cole Beasley's interesting too, just because I think that game's gonna be up and down as well. What is that?
So low. You have him as wide receiver 45. I was gonna do a $5 bet. Yeah, I was gonna do a $5 bet for over under wide receiver 15, but now I know I can do it at 20.
To be fair, that was with John Brown, so I have to adjust that. So I would probably put him if I'm looking at it right now. Where do I have Beasley? 48?
45 for PPR.
I'd probably jump him up to like into the bottom end of wide receiver 3s. So
I think he's top 10.
Top 10?
Yeah. If you take
Cole
out
Beasley in this economy.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be awesome.
All right, it's a bet then.
But the bet's top 20 because you have him at 45, and even you just said a back end wide receiver 3. So I'm still giving you 15. So we'll do a $5 bet. He's a top 5 PPR. That will include Fuller even. I was going to try and take out Thursday.
Yes. Okay, so what is this now? So
just end of week, top 20, Cole Beasley PPR, wide receiver. Okay. Top 20.
Okay.
First it's not.
Okay. I'll take that all day long. Okay. So put that in, and we will get to Fred's going Beasley too, Gary. There's nothing wrong with Cole Beasley. I think he's perfectly fine the way he is. If you are, if you have Cole Beasley, I think he's certainly worth a start. I don't think Tyler Boyd is hit enough with the quarterback situation to be able to take him out of your lineup. I think he's the only Bengals pass catcher that is worthy of being started. And that includes T. Higgins. I don't think T. Higgins can be started this week. I think there's much more volatility with T. Higgins with Brandon Allen at cornerback than there is with Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd's a shorter 8-out receiver. I think Brandon Allen can get the ball out, and I think he's going to be more of a safety valve. I think he's going to rack up, I think 7 to 9 catches, I think is very, I think that's probably a ceiling play, honestly. I think he's going to be, I think 6 for 60 is a good kind of baseline for Tyler Boyd today on like 11 or 12 targets.
I don't know. It's
No?
going to be awesome. It's going to be a smash game, and especially if those wins are not going to be throwing deep to digs. You already talked about the defensive woes. Whoever was injured for the Chargers that I can't remember. Casey Hayward. And I just think that this is going to be to Beasley all day.
I hear you. This is pretty easy considering what we talked about. Robert Tunyon or Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, Rudolph. You know, a player that I'm really high on, this isn't even this question, but I don't care because I'm talking with somebody else about Gesicki, Tunyon, or Rudolph. Somebody I really like is Gesicki with Fitz back. I don't think Gesicki's that great with Tua, but I think in this particular game, who is going to be in the slot? And we know that the Jets are most vulnerable and get attacked by offense after offense after offense in the slot. And is that going to be Parker? Probably not. So it's either going to be Hakeem Grant or it's going to be Mike Gesicki. I'm off my high horse.
I also will add into that, you know, we've been talking about this for weeks upon weeks, and we have not seen Mike Gesicki get that full complement there in the slot. They've always wanted to work in other players. They've wanted to work in Malcolm Perry and just anybody else. Honestly, It doesn't seem like Mike Gesicki gets it. He's been playing more inline too, so that's something to consider too. Right now, he's so hard to start, even in this gross tight end just landscape.
Yeah, I was just said. Someone just said the exact same thing to me last time he started with Fitz. He was 0 points. But
was it Brian Drake? Was that the start of his Mike?
In my beer league.
I hear you. Oh, here we're. I thought the other one was the deep dive of the week, and here we go. Rodney Smith, the Carolina backup running back, who will be behind Mike Davis today. Juice, Kyle Juszczyk, or Ty Johnson.
I am Googling who Rodney Smith is, and that almost never happens to me. I'm
going with Ty Johnson here.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get it. I think he's going to not the full work behind Frank Gore, but I think he's going to mix in. And I think if you're looking for RB3 with these deep names, I think Ty Johnson is a clear winner for me, even over Juszczyk. We've, said Juszczyk, I think every week, or all of them, but a couple here.
Mostert's back, but when you have Mostert and Debo, you're able to create so much motion that Juszczyk actually gets involved in ways that are proper for him to do, but go Ty Johnson because it's freaking Frank Gore. I don't know how much they're going to use him. They'll always be looking for some way, and Gase is Gase.
It's Frank Gore. That's the only answer we need.
Yeah,
Wayne Gallman or Austin Eckler? Got you stumped a little bit.
Because I like Gallman. It's always hard on Sunday because I've been for 2 days really focused on DFS. And when it comes to cost, I'm so in that mindset. And I don't know if I'm being blind to the Eckler thing, but I also know that they have Pope and they have Kelly. And I don't know if they're going to give Eckler goal line touches. And Gallman will get those in a matchup that we think he really is just kind of the guy. Lewis will get a couple touches. Alfred Morris is the only annoyance of a potential touchdown vulture there, once or so. But I'm still going to go with Gallman here and play it safe. Actually, that's how I'll phrase it. Gallman for safety. Eckler is kind of the
upside.
You're shooting for the moon and just seeing what happens.
I hear you. I feel you. Your boy Kevin Chubb, Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going Herbert. It was interesting on Fantasy Footballers. They were talking about, will Rodgers be a top 8 QB? He has been most of the season, even though it's against Chicago. And I'm going to go Herbert, but it is really hard to sit Rodgers right now.
Yeah, keep in mind Aaron Rodgers is the one who threw 6 touchdown passes against the Bears in a half. Granted, those are not your same Bears this week, but I would still go Herbert here. I like the shootout potential against the Bills. I think that's going to be up and down, back and forth. That'll be a fun game to watch. I don't think the Packers and Bears will be as fun to watch, but who knows? Could be surprised. Anything can happen. Another question here from Aaron Martinez. Who do I start? Need one. Antonio Brown, Chase Claypool, Robert Woods.
That's a tough one. I'm leaning Woods, but something just feels like this is. I say it feels like it's going to be an AB pop game against the Chiefs, even though I actually think Mike Evans is one of the best value plays right now in in DFS. So I'm going to go with Woods. I like that they keep him being involved, and the Rams are on a tear.
I'm going Antonio Brown here. I think he's a smash. I'd like him over every other Buccaneers pass catcher today. I like him over Godwin. They're making a concerted effort to get him the ball. I mean, granted, Chris Godwin has per Pro Football Focus the second best matchup of the week in the slot. Godwin does, but Brown has the 9th best. I mean, they're going up against I believe it's going to be Treverius Ward for Antonio Brown. So I like him. I think they're going to be getting him the ball more. I think Evans is more of that boom bust option in that offense. So it's going to be between Godwin and Brown, but any one of those guys can pop off. It's 3 absolutely uber talented wide receivers here. So, I mean, it's really pick your poison among those 3. But I like Antonio Brown over Woods over Claypool. Claypool is a non-starter for me just because of the situation. Yeah. So it would really be between Brown and Woods. Sherman should be back today, right?
He's activated, so yeah, he should be back. I have no idea who he'll be on. I think Woods moves enough that I don't know if he doesn't really shadow, right? He just, if Kevin's listening.
No, he takes a side.
I think he takes the right side of the field. Well,
so yeah, so whoever side. So he, for all we know, they could just stick Reynolds over there and that could be a Woods Cup game.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Well, that's what teams try to do. I mean, that's Green Bay when they were playing Sherman, they would just stick either Lazard or MVS on that side and let Adams just go wherever else.
Yep.
So I'd still go Antonio Brown here though over Woods. I think he just has a higher upside. I think they have comparable floors. I will say that. Yeah. Axel Jansen with our defense question of the week. Always appreciate that. Just Bengals, Jags, or Vikes for defense 2, and I would go Vikes here. I think it's pretty clear.
So this is actually a really important question because all 3 of these teams are like 23 to 2100 on DK DraftKings. I think it's the Vikings because they are showing up. They're getting better. They're with our defensive line. I do actually like the Jags as like a dart throw because of Baker's mistakes. The same can almost be said for the Bengals, who probably have a potentially better matchup, but they're all going up against it. So I'm going to go with the Vikings just because I like their middle of the field guys a little bit more, Harrison Smith and whatnot. And those guys can get picks. But it is, do we know that Teddy is playing yet? I don't think we do. We think he's playing, but it's not a certainty.
Teddy, let's see. He's not on the inactives.
Okay.
But I don't see anything here. Yeah. I go the Vikings here. Yeah. The Bengals, I would like a lot more if they had their full complement. And if they had like Carlos Dunlap, who they traded over to Seattle, who, by the way, Seattle, if you need a defense for the next 4 weeks, go pick up the Seahawks. They play, I believe it's Philadelphia, the Jets, the Giants, and Washington next 4 weeks.
So. And they've increased, I think it was 1.7 or 0.7 sacks a game since they got Dunlap.
Dunlap has been that's why that's exactly why, because Dunlap has been a difference maker in that defense. Now they're getting some of their back end guys back. So that defense is coming on at the right time, getting healthy, getting that infusion with Dunlap to spur their pass rush. So that's definitely a defense to look out for. That's probably available in I'd say half of leagues right now.
Yep, agreed.
Let's go over here. Mostert over A-Rob, half PPR, leaning Mostert because I don't trust Mitch. LOL.
I am going Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is Mitch proof. We have seen him not have the greatest games, but I think for the most part he's Mitch proof. I would at least, I don't know.
He's a one read guy. Mitch Trubisky is a one read guy, and the one read is most of the time Allen Robinson. So I would say it's good. It's a lot tougher this week because he's going to have Jair Alexander all over him. Yeah. But if there's a receiver that can win quite a bit over him, it's Allen Robinson. So I would say Allen Robinson has at least he has a big target floor. I'd say double-digit targets as a baseline for him. If he converts 6 of those, if he starts getting into like 12, 13, 14, and he gets like 7 for, I mean, you'll still take a 7 for 60 day without a touchdown. It's 13 points in PPR. So, or half PPR. That's what, 7, 3.5. That's still almost 10 points.
I'm going to go with Mostert because I just see that Trent Williams is going to be playing. So I'm going to go with Mostert. I know it's a little bit of a late pivot. My apologies, but I think the Jair Alexander is actually what swayed me there.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's even for me, I would say. I'd still go Allen Robinson, but, Mostert's not a bad play either. Thank you, Aaron, for checking us out. Appreciate it, my friend. Axel, DJ Moore, Tyler Boyd, or Michael Pittman for wide receiver 3. He just switched. He switched one of them up.
DJ Moore for me. The guy's been on fire. I don't care. People have been hating on him. I don't know if that's even still the case anymore, but DJ Moore is playing out of his mind. He's playing really well.
People are hating to hate. Go DJ Moore. You'll love it. I think I will. Packers D or Colts D.
And also, Axel, I would not be worried about playing Vikes D if you also were starting DJ Moore. I don't think that that's a problem. DJ Moore can score a touchdown. Vikes D can also score a touchdown and whatnot. So I'm not concerned about that. Dealing with a reported AC joint. Okay. Sorry. I thought it was saying that Kyler Murray is not playing, but no, he's warming up. And then for Kevin, I'm going to go with Colts D. No concerns there. I mean, they'll get sacks to maybe get some picks and just kind of go see what happens.
Yeah, Colts D gets Tannehill, who hasn't been great in his own right. I think that's a smash there. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, Teddy's off the injury report, so he should be fine for week 12, barring anything crazy. So I have one more question for you, unless you have one for me, and then we can skedaddle if you're okay. I had it here. It's actually for one of my teams. I wanted to be a little selfish and get one out here for you. Jordan Wilkins or Kendall Hinton?
I actually think that we are throwing a little too much love towards Hines. Wilkins, when he has gotten a chance, and he's not just the guy, but he is one of the 2 guys, I think that Wilkins could all of a sudden have like 2 touchdowns, and people are just like, damn, we forgot about him. I've thrown him into some lineups. I have started him in a couple leagues because of just the weird situations. I'm also just pretending that Kendall Hinton does not exist. So I'll let you answer that one on your own, but it's your own team. So that's tough.
Yeah, I was leaning to Wilkins, honestly, because, for what you said, I think he's certainly got the ability to just ride hot hand and get a couple touchdowns in there and just be, people will think of him as a vulture. I mean, he's been pretty solid all year, even when Taylor was healthy and, wasn't on the COVID list. So
I have a question for you, and it pertains to this. What is the percentage chance that Hinton is taking 90+% of their dropbacks?
I mean, who else would take them? I mean, if they don't run Wildcat.
I don't actually know, but like there was a report came out that they said they wanted Cabrisi to be their guy, and I don't like.
They're not let it. Yeah, so those coaches, the NFL would not let them be like of the NHL, who they have their emergency goalies or whatnot. It's kind of the same thing. The NFL said yesterday they would not allow that.
So if Hinton throws 3 picks and doesn't get a touchdown, but I'm guessing he'll be able to run, right? If he was a wide receiver. So let's say he's getting like 40 yards on the ground and then he throws for like 125 or something, maybe even 200, but he throws a few picks and doesn't get a touchdown. I don't know how the points break down because that's too much math and off the top of my head, but I think I'd rather have Wilkins for 40 on the ground with a touchdown.
Yeah, it's very fair. It's a wild card. And I'm not out here saying start Kendall Hilton by all means. He comes with a considerable amount of risk, and that's something you have to weigh on your own teams. So I will say that I'm willing to weigh that risk just based on a quarterback being in your wide receiver or flex spot in a non-super flex. I'm willing to weigh that risk because, if I'm like right now 9-2 and, I'm fine and just worried about getting just points. If
Yeah.
I'm going for points upside, that's certainly worth it. In a tournament format or like Hunger Bowl or like Warrior Bowl or something like that, I'm fine with that risk too, because I'm higher up in those. And I think if he has the ability to get more there. Now, if he gives a couple shovel passes to Philip Lindsay, there's 2 touchdowns there,
true.
technically passing. I think he's got some rushing upside there too. Who knows? I'm going to watch that game. Don't get me wrong. I want to see what the hell they do. I think everybody is, if they have the ability to watch that game, they're going to watch that game for morbid curiosity.
It's true.
Yeah. And then just one more, and then we'll get out of here, I promise. And that's in the chat. I think you answered it here, but I want to go through it. Dallas Goedert or Austin Hooper in standard?
Is there any, I'm just nervous about Goddard. He could be blocking. Yeah, he's probably going to be out there catching passes, but from who? It's Wentz is all over the place, and also we've seen Hooper show up. I put Hooper pretty quickly, but I do think that they're very close to each other.
Yeah, I think they're close to each other too, but I still take Hooper here. I keep in mind I also am in Fargo, and I have my shades drawn because I don't want anybody to throw stuff through my window for my contractually obligated, and I can't talk about Wentz. And then we got a couple rapid fire here. Then we'll get out of here. I promise. A quick one. Ingram or Tunyon, sorry.
Ingram, not close.
I like Ingram, but Tunyon's usage has gone up quite a bit the last couple of weeks too. So that's something to monitor. But I will take Ingram there, and then Benny Snell or Frank Gore.
Gore. But I also don't think the other game's going to play. So
you got to weigh that too. So, all right. Well, again, thank you everybody for checking us out here on Fighting Chance Kickoff. Again, if you have questions to ask for your start sit, you got about 50 minutes to do it. Send them to at K Tompkins II at Gary Head 1. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Fighting Chance Live each week on Wednesdays. Gary, anything else before we get out?
No. Thanks for all the questions today, and good luck, and hopefully everyone stays safe.
Yep, absolutely. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving as well. Spend it with your loved ones. Mine was great. How was yours, Gary?
Oh, it was fantastic. We just stayed home, didn't go see anybody, and it was just nice. We, for once, getting to cook like a smaller Thanksgiving meal was like perfect, and had a couple days of leftovers and whatnot. So I'm glad that you had a good one. Oh, I did have a question. How cold is it up there?
The high is 29 today here.
What do you keep your house temperature at?
65 on a good day.
So crazy.
That's why I'm wearing this right now. But I don't mind it. No, I like it colder though. I hate it hot. I hate it hot. Like if I go outside and it's like even over like if it's 75, I'm sweating. I sweat a lot. So I hate it. I hate it. But all right, now I promise we're getting out of here. Go send your questions at K Tompkins II at Gary Hada 1. Other than that, good luck in your week 12s and have a great day.